From Del Rio, Texas, Rob Wade and Robert Garza. Two guys who dive. This episode of Two Guys Who Dive, recorded Sunday, 26 August, 2012, episode 30, Special Orders Do Upset Us. And here we are once again with another episode of Two Guys Who Dive. And I am your host, ever-loving, looking for a decent meal host, ScubaDog, a.k.a. Rob Wade. And I'm here with... Sir Laughs a Lot.
The very amused Scuba Bob, a.k.a. Robert Garza.
Oh,
If only you guys knew what happened before the show starts.
I'm not going to even redo that. That was just too funny. Well, okay, the episode title for this week is Special Orders Do Upset Us. And actually, it should be Special Orders Do Upset Us.
Yeah.
For those who are following me on Twitter or Facebook, you might have picked up...
I was going to ask you
what the story was.
Yeah, what's going on?
Well, let me go a little bit behind the scenes here. Bump up. There we go. Okay. For those who may have been watching last week, you know that we have we've been doing a scuba class this weekend, and of course, time is tight when you're trying to work with students and work the rest of your schedule because life does go on. Training students is not my full-time job. In fact, it probably doesn't qualify even as a part-time job. But I do enjoy it nonetheless. However, there are other things that I am dedicated to and involved in. One of those things, of course, is I'm a regular attendee of our church, as well as being an elder and the leader of our praise and worship team. So I can't exactly play hooky from church. I will be missed. I go to Grace Community Church in Del Rio, Texas, for those who might be curious. And visitors are welcome. So our pastor has... he doesn't program things as far as the way the service is going to go. He's very much one of those that kind of goes where the Spirit will have him go. But there are some things that are planned. For instance, this week or this coming week, the kiddos are going back to school. And
that's right. Yeah.
And what he likes to do, what our church does regularly for the students, is we honor them, we encourage them, we pray for them as a corporate, the corporate worship and praise and prayer. We lift them up because from working from the school district, as our pastor made a very good point. This is a different world and a different school environment than even when we went to school. He was talking about, and I digress a little bit, but I just think it's interesting information. He said that studies showed that back in 1963, the most significant infractions that they saw in school were things like chewing gum in class, writing on desks,
smoking in the restroom,
and not even actually that, which was surprising. Wow. That was closer to like our time. Well, actually, probably closer to my time because I think really things started going down by the time you were in school. What year did you graduate, by the way?
90.
Oh, okay, so 10 years after me.
Right.
Class 80 rules. Had to throw that in there in case any of my friends from Diamond, Missouri, class of 80 are watching. Or pick this up later. So nowadays, you have to worry about things like kids having sex in class. I mean, that's how bad it's gotten. You know, threats to the teachers, things like that. So they live in a really, really challenging world compared to what it was like when we were in school. So, unfortunately, you know, we have only so much time to get the service done. We're typically done around noonish, and but the problem is when it's that flexible, it's often difficult for me to plan my time around that. Sometimes, on rare occasions, I can skip out early if I anticipate that there might not be something going on at the very end. But usually I stay to the end. Well, and this was one of those times. And it ran till 12:30. And I told my students, I was going to be there at 1 o'clock. So I knew time was short. We got out of there. I rushed to the house, got changed, and luckily I had pretty much everything ready in the trailer, the mobile dive center. Had it ready to roll. Just had to grab a couple things that I had left to dry out. And I thought, okay, I maybe have enough time to just quickly pop into one of the quote-unquote fast food restaurants. Was I wrong?
Uh-huh.
Care to guess where I went?
Let me see. You don't like that place. McDonald's.
Close. I almost went there, but then the line there was just incredible. Wendy's. And at first I was going to go through the drive-thru. I can navigate the trailer through there pretty well. However, there was even a pretty good line there. But I noticed that there weren't a lot of cars in the parking lot, and it looked like from the street or from the parking lot looking in the store, there weren't a lot of people in there, too. I thought, oh, great. I should be able to just pop in. So I pull a trailer around the back, and I go into the restaurant, and there's a 20-something woman just walking up to the counter. She was next. And then there was an older couple right in front of me. So I'm patiently waiting, watching my watch, and this woman proceeds to give a long order. I thought, oh, this will be quick because it's just her. No. She's giving an order, and every single thing that she ordered had a special order to it. I'd like this sandwich. Oh, wait a minute. Do you have it does it come like this? Well, no, hold on. Let me get the manager.
Oh.
And so this proceeded to be this laundry list of food that she was choosing. Well, okay, I want to order this because I like that, but I don't see it on your menu with bacon. Can I get it with bacon? Yes, ma'am, you can get it with... I mean, the person working the counter was very accommodating and very patient.
As they should be.
As they should be. One of those rare things with customer service. But I just finally got to the point after 10 minutes with this person. I'm like, I'm out of here. All I had for breakfast this morning was 2 pieces of toast, okay, with jelly, so there was a little bit of sugar rush there. But I had 2 pieces of toast. So I'm already starting to get hungry. And I know, as you know, as any diver out there knows, after a dive, you are ready to eat something raw. Okay?
Yeah.
And that was me. I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. So I just had no choice. I had to bust out there. And the whole time, the whole drive out to Scuba Cove, I'm just fuming over this. I know I shouldn't get upset about it. You know, Christian's supposed to be patient, kind of, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, come on. I would pay premium dollar for a fast food, a real fast food franchise that has a limited menu option, and there are no special orders. You can't change a flipping thing on the if it isn't on the menu, you don't get it. You go somewhere else. I would love to have a restaurant like that.
Try Taco Bell, man. They'll spit a taco at you real quick. I mean, and that's even in a special order. You know, let me have a bean and cheese burrito without the sauce. No problem. 2 seconds later, it's in my hand.
2 seconds? Now, isn't that a little bit of an exaggeration?
Yeah, just a bit, but still, you know. Well, yesterday while I was assisting you in the pool work, I got to the pool and I hadn't eaten anything. So, come 1 o'clock, I was
just a little hungry.
Well, like you just mentioned, you know, being in the water, you're diving, you know, and then especially working with students, you work up some. A massive appetite. A
man-sized appetite.
Yeah,
even as a girl.
Yeah, you know, I wasn't looking for something raw. I was just looking for something.
Really? Here, let me chew on this rock.
Let me chew on this rock. I mean, I was already biting my fingers. It was crazy.
Were they tasty though? That's the question to ask. Were they tasty fingers?
My nails so deep it bled. So.
Ouch, that's bad.
Yeah,
that's bad. So. I'm telling you, if there are any fine, enterprising entrepreneurs in Del Rio, Texas, who have a notion to start up a restaurant, let me throw this suggestion out for you. Come up with something that's a real fast food that has a fairly limited variety, but it's good food, good quality food that makes people come. It's kind of like you go to Solace Better Burger. Their burgers are truly a better burger. But I would love a place that you can go to that it just no special orders. I mean, come on. I remember the old Burger King commercial. You know,
have it your way.
Yeah, have it your way. Special orders don't upset us. I'm like, you know what? Later for you. I want to smack the people that wrote that jingle. You know, you can have you can have good customer service and just limit what you provide. You know, bending over backwards to accommodate somebody who should be going to a sit-down restaurant with the specifics that they're looking for in a what they're going to eat. You can have good customer service without bending over backwards for people like that. And there's something to be said for being able to get in and out, throughput. You know, single piece flow. You know, just here's your food, go.
You know, I'm not really saying too much. I know
because you do the special order
Yeah,
thing.
because I'm real picky when I order my food. So I'm one of those people that, yeah, let me have this, but with not this.
And see, I would get a dart gun. I'd get one of those sucker dart guns and be hitting you in the back of the head. But
the thing is, you know, when I go in there, I already know what I want and how I want it. So I'm not there with a list. Well, you know, can you make the... No, I already know which restaurants I frequent, and I already know, like, okay, I want this burger, not this, and this, and it's like no problem. They give it to me. I mean, I'm not there like asking for anything like outrageous. You know, just real simple, no onion, no tomato.
That's it?
That's it. No onion, no tomato.
See, here's the thing. I do the Lean Six Sigma stuff, which means I look at processes and I try and improve them. And when I look at a process, one of the biggest things that screams potential waste to me is variation. The more variation you have in a process, the more opportunity there is for waste in it. And you cannot get a steady flow of the widget, the paperwork, the food, whatever it is. It can't move through the process quickly. If you go to one of these restaurants, you know, McDonald's or Taco Bell or whatever, watch if you can see it. Sometimes they're designed where you can't see it. But if you can, look back at the way they have things arranged in their line for how stuff is prepared. That will give you an idea. If you see a lot of moving back and forth and around instead of a flow of something coming through the line, there's a broken process there. There's a way to improve that. there's a way to set up where everything is to where you grab what's necessary and it's all within an easy reach and it moves through the line, no matter what's asked for. Mm-hmm. But just from people ordering things, they're so used to being given exactly what they want. And I'm all about the voice of the customer kind of thing, but sometimes the voice of the customer is, I want the most basic thing you got, and I want it as quickly as you can possibly kick it out.
Well, having worked at Dell in a manufacturing...
you see their process.
Okay, I've seen their process. Yeah. And, that's one thing that you get online and you see the computers and everything else like that, and you custom build or you custom order a computer, whether it be on the internet or whether it be on the phone, and you're talking to the person. All they're doing is they're just punching in information, and they hit, like, go or send or whatever. Right. I remember what the process is for Dell. But it goes into a Dropbox, and once they get financing approved, I mean, that thing is built pretty quick. And to get an idea, just to show you, like, I remember this very, very clear. It was a school district somewhere up by Dallas, I think it was one of the largest orders at the time. When I was working there, they were ordering computers for the school, a school. And I want to think it was just for one school, not the whole district. Okay. They were just supplying the one school with something like 200 computers.
Right.
Well, how long do you think it would take somebody to build 200 computers? You think, okay, well, it's going to take a while, whatever. Those things were built in 6 hours.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. The only thing that took a long time was the burn process, and and all computers go through this. What they do is before you actually get a computer, they actually run it through a system of tests.
Stress tests.
Yeah, to make sure that the system, if it's going to fail, it'll fail within the stress test, because they do put the components through various amounts of things. And if it fails the stress test, then they take it back, they pull it off, and then they'll build a new one. So, but usually it's done within hours. It's not... somebody's going to take like 3 or 4 days or 3 or 4 weeks, know. But it's done really, really fast. And those are processes like you mentioned. I mean, they're, they have guys like yourself come in and they look at the processes and they go ahead, okay, well, this isn't working. Let's redo this line. For some reason it's taking a long time. And, and these are just desktop computers. I'm not talking like your high-end servers. Those things do take a while because they're built, a little different. But everything has its processes.
So and it's interesting that you mentioned Dell, because when I do some of the Lean Six Sigma orientation at the Air Force Base here, I actually have a slide that refers to Dell's process and how they improved their delivery point, that they're able to get what the customer wants and get it out quickly. But that's because there is, even within the variation, there is still a limited amount of variation that you can choose. You only can have so many processors to choose from,
right?
And they're only going to have so many combinations that will work on the system board. It depends on the case, but you go to Wendy's or McDonald's or Taco Bell and you watch their line. You watch how much movement is going on, and then look at the chaos that's created by a customer going in and saying, if they where they don't know all the things that they want, like this woman did. I was like, please just go in and order a single, a number one with with a small, medium, large. I mean, there's your variation right there. You want the small, medium, large. I love that. That is variation enough in a process. If they could get it as really quick, similar to the way Dell works it, where the line goes through and they simply are not putting something on.
Yeah.
But what you usually see is, well, I want it. Instead of mustard, can I have your special sauce? Or instead of your special sauce, can I have it with ketchup? And could I have extra tomatoes? Or can I have olives on it? Or can you put guacamole on the side? I mean, merciful heaven. Come on. Just go. It's a fast food restaurant. Just pick what's on the menu and move on. You're keeping everybody else waiting behind you.
Yeah, no, it's
that's my rant. Okay,
it's actually really impressive when you see these processes going down. It's one thing explaining it, you know, I like talking about Dell, but from the front of the assembly to the end when it gets boxed and shipped, it's one flowing process. The only delay is during the burn process.
Yeah.
And once it passes burn, it goes to wipe down, where they wipe the system down, make sure it's free of any fingerprints or anything that scratches. They really look at these things, and then they box them, and then lo and behold, there's a 18-wheeler from FedEx. They're ready to go.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. So it's
that's another component of it. Boy, are we going way off the.
Yeah.
But that's another component of it is supply chain management.
Mm-hmm.
They have a pretty good idea based on the customer requests and their cycle times of how it takes to get the components, prep the components, combine the components to a finished product to burn to kick it out. You know, that's the lead time for all that. They have a good, or at least they used to, I don't know if it's true anymore, but at their peak, they had it really down nice where they could, you rarely saw a situation where they were waiting on parts for something. And they were able to get whatever the product was loaded and shipped out because they had good supply chain management. Walmart has horrible supply chain management. Back when Sam Walton ran things, it was much better. I think the employees were much happier.
They were a lot happier.
And they just had processes that worked. But now whoever is running it is just turned it into a sweatshop, and their supply chain management is horrible. All it is for them is absolute lowest price, even if they don't have the product. And you can't even count on a product being there. You know, I shop at a place because I expect to get certain things regularly and for a decent price. I am okay paying a little more for something if I know it's consistent quality and it's consistently available. But what too often I see, I go to Walmart, and this didn't used to be this way. I go to Walmart and I can go down an aisle looking for something that I got for months, and it's suddenly no longer carried.
Yeah, that, you know, HEB did that to me. I was, you know,
what was there a particular product?
Yeah, it was real stupid, but I like the red wine vinaigrette. From Wishbone.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Well, they had it like forever at HEB, and on one day I went, they're like, "Oh, we don't carry it anymore." I'm like, "What?" Well, you know, I started sending emails. No, I started sending
there
emails.
There you go. Start a campaign
to HEB, and I don't know if it was just me or a lot of people complained about that, but then all of a sudden they brought it back.
Nice. See, the power of the pen, it does work, or electronic ink nowadays.
Yeah. Well, you gotta word it pretty. You gotta word it nice in the beginning, and then
if you go berating them right off, they turn a deaf ear to that pretty quick.
Yeah, and then you gotta get a little violent on them.
Well, you can escalate it, especially if you see
not
that they're
violent. I mean, get a gun.
Yeah, exactly.
But
oh my gosh,
you said, escalate it.
There'll be the uber liberals out there that if they're listening to this, they're like, "You see, they're advocating for violence. They're mean people." No,
go to a 7-Eleven, you'll see violence.
It's a metaphor. It's a metaphor. In other words, I've got to get medieval on there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but that's true. You know, what you'll see oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes, you will see a situation where you send a nice but firm, you know, I'm extremely disappointed that you stopped carrying X, and or it appears that you're discontinuing this, or you're canceling this show, or whatever it is. You'll send a nice but firm. This was one of the few good products that you had, or I consistently use this, blah blah blah, and then you eventually get this form letter or form email. Thank you for your concern. We acknowledge and we look forward to reading customer suggestions, etc. However, because of the variety and the of products that we provide, We're always looking to improve, and some things may go by the wayside for a small percentage of our customers. And so, they give the blah, blah, blah. So then you decide at that point, do I really want to pursue this? And so you step up
one of my emails,
rhetoric a little bit.
One of my emails regarding the
wishbone.
The wishbone was actually I did note there. Well, they carry it at Walmart. They had it at Walmart, but they used to carry it at HEB. HEB is a lot closer than Walmart.
Right. Yeah.
So, it is for me. So, I was just like, I just. It's not. I made it extreme. Like I got to travel miles to go get my stuff.
You lied, you fibber.
So, but still, they don't know the size of. They don't know the demographics here. So anyway, I just sent it to him and I told him, I got to drive to Walmart to get it. When I used to get it here, I shop here. I get all my meat products. I get everything here at HEB because I like the coop.
But I will drive all the way to Walmart to get this, and I will start shopping there.
And that's what I pretty much told him. I told him, what? I'm no longer going to shop at your store. You just lost a customer.
Now, I have absolutely stopped going to places or patronizing certain restaurants or
so no more Frosties for you then?
Yeah. No, This was this woman's fault. I'm sorry. She came in not having much of a clue about what she wanted, and she was ordering for her whole brood or for a truck driving company or something. I see that oftentimes too. Pulling through the drive-through, and there's one girl in a vehicle in front of me, and then I see her pull out a list. She's ordering breakfast for the whole crew is what she's doing. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Oh,
it's a little irritating.
Frustrates me.
My deal is I go, and I boast a lot about this, my coffee at McDonald's.
Yeah.
So I'll go to McDonald's just to get my mocha frappe in the morning, because it is the summertime. It's the only time I'll drink cold coffees. And there's a long line. And it gets me agitated.
And what time is this normally?
This is like at 7:30 in the morning. And they'll tell you, okay, we'll pull over to the line 2. And then they bring me an orange juice. I'm like, I didn't order an orange juice. I ordered a frappe. Okay, so then they come back.
Broken process.
All right, they come back and they bring me a mocha, but a hot mocha, not a... Yeah. Oh, it was crazy. They did that like for a week. I'm like, what is the whole purpose of, you're trying to speed up the lines by opening 2, Mr. McDonald's, but...
So you're going through the
drive-thru.
You're going through the one on...
well, even the one right here on Veterans,
they only have the one. But they only have the one lane.
They have the one lane, but they'll tell you, okay, can you go to the second lane?
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Right, and I don't know if this is supposed to speed up service or anything, but it's really not speeding up anything. So this is one of those broken processes. But then where it's really broken is they'll bring you food, and it's not what you ordered. It's for the car that's behind me. I don't know. It's
okay. Now, since you brought up the whole McDonald's process,
and it is good coffee, so I'm patient.
Yeah, I have to bring up my rant on
the Filet-O-Fish.
Yeah, well, I've got a delay here on the screen. I'm trying to fix. Why is this doing this? That should be working fine.
It's because you're moving too fast, Robert.
That's what it is.
Yep. Your process is just working so well.
Yeah, I'm just really fast.
The computers can't keep up with you.
No, here's the thing. I'm watching all this construction go on over at the McDonald's on Gibbs and Bedell.
Yes.
Which is, of course, just as you're coming into town or out of town. So this is a major intersection because it's basically where Highway 90, which becomes Gibbs at that point, meets up with Highway 277 coming from Eagle Pass. And so it's a major intersection. I mean, a lot of stuff goes on there. And so you have suddenly all these restaurants, stood up there, McDonald's and Subway and Sonic. Okay, and that's all well and good. However, they realize that they've got all this business coming in from the base, typically lunchtime, and some of the surrounding, businesses closer there. You've got one of the, I think the police academy
Yeah, it's
is
just
there
across the
too.
street. Mhm.
Yeah. So, and the water department, and so they rebuilt or remodeled both of the McDonald's. They put nice new facades on them. They really look good. But what they decided to do with the one on Bedell and Gibbs is they added, as you come around the back, they added a second lane for ordering. Okay. Now, a friend of ours, Troy McGonigal, who had asked to be on the podcast tonight, and he wasn't unfortunately able to be on it. Otherwise, we'd probably talk about this. I saw him tweet about how he's like, oh wow, great, they're improving the processes. They realize they're so busy, so they're adding a second lane. And so I responded back with, it remains to be seen. I wouldn't jump to a conclusion that they've improved their process, because I said I pointed out that they've added a second lane for ordering, but if their ability to produce the product can't keep up with the ability that they've now doubled the inputs into their system. Mm-hmm. But are they able to keep up with the inputs by producing at least the same amount of outputs?
Right.
Well, as it turns out, I watched them finish up the renovation, and so they have 2 lanes that come around the back, mm-hmm. and then they have to vie for position to get to the one window that you pay.
Yes.
And then they're funned back out to two makeshift lanes like at the McDonald's there mm-hmm. on Avenue F, on Veterans Boulevard. Used to be Avenue F. Another broken process. So they have created a worse bottleneck than what they had before. Well,
see, and it's funny because
unless you're sitting in the line, then it's not funny anymore.
Well, this is a funny thing about this is you go down there, I'll drive up there, and this happens a lot, and I see this huge line, and nobody's on the other one. People, I guess they're afraid to go to it or something. So everybody's waiting to go through the one ordering intercom system.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it's because they figured out that process doesn't work.
So what I do is I'll go around and I'll cut through there, and then I'm pretty much cutting in line, and it works.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I guess it depends on what you're ordering and stuff like that. But
here is why that.
And I actually saw that tweet, and I think I commented on that as well.
You probably did.
I think I said something about the coffee.
Well, here's why. Here's the big mistake of thought that whoever came up with this idea for the McDonald's there clearly wasn't thinking this through. You've got 2 lines of cars coming in. So let's say you have 2 cars that pull up to, just by chance, they pull up to the 2 ordering windows or ordering screens at the exact same time. Okay? Let us assume, because I haven't confirmed one way or the other, let's assume that there are 2 people on headsets.
There are.
Taking the orders. Okay?
There are.
So let's assume that. All right, so they've got 2 lines and 2 people taking the orders. Now, they both complete their order at the same time. Now, they have to work their way back together in a single file to get up to the payment.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the person has at the window, the single payment window, has to figure out which one of these 2 it is.
Right.
That's delay. That's variation. That is waste in the process.
And it is, because you get there and they'll ask you, okay, what was your order?
Yeah.
Because they don't know. So they see it on their screen, so they just got to click on it. And
right. Okay, so you get your money or you get your change back or whatever, and now they tell you to go straight ahead lane, right, or to lane 2. All right, so now is the next piece of variation and waste in the process. You have to hope that the person coming out is coming out with your order and not the person in the other lane, which you've already run into mm-hmm. that problem.
Right.
So you've doubled, you've exacerbated your bottleneck because you've got still broken processes in the way you can produce the product, and the way you make people pay for it, and the way you can actually deliver the product to them. And you've created an illusion for customers entering into your process, your processing line, by saying, oh, we've got a second ordering window. And it creates no improvement in the process.
It makes it look fast. I've been in a McDonald's that has this exact same setup. It's in San Antonio, and it's as you're leaving San Antonio to come to Del Rio, the McDonald's is right there by the Whataburger across from the gas station. I can't remember what street that is, but they have the similar thing to where you go. They have the 2 ordering lanes. It bottlenecks into the 1 payment area, but they're moving fast. I mean, there's like no delay. You don't tell you, okay, go to lane number 2. You're in 1 lane. So you bottleneck, like you said, and then you go to the payment area, and then they'll ask you, okay, what was your order? Oh, I ordered, okay, bam, and then as soon as you pay, you're moving. Okay, here's your order, thank you.
But pick up Graza. She's got to make her guest appearance this week. Hi, I'm Graza. I'm 2 years old. I'm a red smooth coat dachshund, and I am totally awesome. Okay, so here's the fallacy. Here's the fallacy of that whole process. You saw what you said was the exact same setup as you have here in Del Rio. We see this all over the world. We see this in every kind of business. We see this certainly in the military. What you have is people who are performing extraordinarily in spite of a broken process. In other words, they've come up with workarounds or just sheer force of speed to make up for the fact that the process is broken. And we do this all the time. We tend to not root cause a problem. And this happens in diving, to kind of bring this to a little bit to the circle here. When you don't really look at your process from beginning and end, from trigger to done, and figure out where your big rocks are, where your bottlenecks are, in order to successfully get to the end, the only thing you can hope to do, if you're not going to fix the actual process, or if you actually make it worse, is you have to do extraordinary things to get it done. Here's a good example, and we've seen this in the kind of the faux pas of training. When we talk about like, for instance, when you do a safety check, you've got if you're a PADI diver, you go through the BWRAF. B is your BCD. You check, make sure everything is in place, all the connectors are working. You've got the W is the weights. Make sure you're properly weighted and they're actually placed, because you see a lot of people forget those. And oh, by the way, broken process. If you forget to do that, what do you usually see people do?
They forget to turn in their air.
Well, no. If it sticking with the weights, what do you see people do? They grab rocks or any other weighted things they can to put in their BC.
I've actually seen that too.
Yes. Broken process, because they didn't root cause why are they not putting the weights in? Because they're not following.
I'm guilty of that. I forgot my weight pouches. I had the weights. I forgot the weight pouches. So
okay, that's another example. So where do we end up putting them in
my pouches or my pockets, which
they're non-releasable.
Right. So we had to decide. Okay, if I have to ditch, and I'm in a situation at this point, I'm not going to be able to release my weight, so I'm going to have to ditch the whole BC
rig,
the whole rig. So it was something that
Let's see what you did then. You mentally prepared to have a workaround.
Well, we did, because I said, if I'm in trouble, you're going to have to dump my whole BC. And you're like, okay, no, put that, got it.
See, that's the thing. That all points back to what I'm talking about. We do these extraordinary things. Now let's go on to the next part of that, the releases. Okay, for if you're wearing a weight belt, you're wanting to make sure. Oh, nice. James Bond is calling.
Yeah.
If you're wearing a weight belt, you have to check to make sure that the release is working properly. But we've seen the pictures, we've seen the examples of where somebody had maybe they didn't have a metal buckle for their weight belt. They had one of those composite plastic types, and then they break it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not going to miss this dive, so they do something silly like tie it.
Yeah.
Okay? Or some other clamping mechanism that is not easily releasable. And so inevitably we read these stories of somebody who drowned because they had a catastrophic failure and they couldn't get the weight belt off and end up getting sunk to the bottom and drowning.
Yeah.
Okay, or the air thing. Now, fortunately, the air is a pretty obvious thing to catch and to fix. You know, you try to take your first breath out of it and you realize, oh, or you look at your gauge and realize it says 0. Hey, can you turn my air on? You know, fortunately, that's usually a quickly recoverable thing, but it's not a guaranteed. And I'll use this example that I actually observed. We were in Cozumel. We were on a afternoon dive, and this boat happened to be a lot of very experienced divers. We're talking people who were dive masters or instructors. I think they were all, with the exception, I think, of one that was a rescue diver. I think everybody was professional level, except me. I was an advanced diver at the time. There was a couple sitting across from the guy. It was Richard. Sitting across, sitting across, and this couple, we did the first dive. It was a great dive. We were boating to the second location, and the crew on the boat had, as is pretty common in a lot of these places, they take care of you. They'll switch your tank out for you, and they'll help you on with your gear and off with your gear, blah, blah, blah. So they helped this couple off. Obviously, they were totally buying into the being pampered kind of thing. Yeah. And they were in their own little world, and they're across the boat from us. And I watch, because I just pay attention to stuff because I never know when something weird's going to happen. So I watch one of the crew come over and disconnects the gear from the old tank, swaps them over to fresh tanks that were right next to him, and assembles everything. I'm watching as I'm holding a conversation, and everything looked good. The guy turns on the air. He checks the gauge, pushes the regulators, both the primary and the alternate, to make sure those are functioning properly. Listened to see if there was any leak. You know, although it was really hard to tell because the boat was moving. But he was listening to see if maybe an O-ring was bad or something. Very good process there. And they was like, okay, because this was right at the beginning of our little boat ride, which was about 25 minutes. Then he turns the air off. I think the reason behind that is they just didn't want potentially something happen to the boat to bounce or something, dislodge, or otherwise knock something down, and it could cause just, spewing of the air all over the place. So, okay, for whatever reason, they turned the air off on those. So I continued the conversation. And then minutes pass, and we finally arrive at the location. The captain says, all right, everybody, suit up. We're getting ready to get in the water here. We're at the location. And he proceeds to give a little quick brief on the area. Meanwhile, while he's doing the brief, they're gearing up. I was already geared up. And then it's okay, everybody get in the water. And this boat was type where you could basically just kind of hop off any side that you were at. And I watched this couple, both, that just shows you how people do things together. I watched this couple they looked at their gauge, saw they had almost 3,000. I paid for 3,000.
I paid for
And then they took a breath. They each took a breath off their primary. And then they were getting ready to jump in the water. I'm like, wait, stop. I told him, I said, your air is still off. What? I said, yes, when he was prepping your gear and he was checking it, when he was done, he turned your air off. You're just breathing. You were looking at the gauge, because they looked at it first before they even took a breath. You were looking at the gauge as it was still fully charged from air in the hoses. And you can get, as anybody who's been through the course knows, when we do the air depletion exercise.
You get a couple.
Yeah. You can get 2 or 3, even 4 breaths out of the regulator with just the air that's in the hoses, and you can literally watch the needle go down as you're breathing it. But the tragedy that would have happened because of a broken process here is they both, as dive buddies, would have jumped in the water. And I noted from the previous dive that they were kind of like me. They were quick at descending. So they would get right to, they were head first divers. So they would just sink right down to the location and then start their trek. And so I was immediately, in my mind, I'm going through this. They're going to hit the water and rocket to the bottom and get 2, maybe 3 breaths out of this, and then both realize almost simultaneously that they can't. They're
out of air.
They're out of air, and they would not be able to turn to each other. This would have been a really bad tragedy.
Bad, yeah.
So, you know so what I'm saying is, the one thing that they did not do was go through their pre-dive safety check. If they had gone through that, one of the things they would have checked is to make sure the air is actually on, not just check the gauges.
Yeah, and you mentioned that during the instruction all the time.
Yep.
Okay, make sure you guys, buddy up. Make sure you guys check. Let's do this. Let's do that. And this weekend, even one of the students, hey, my buddy's in the water already.
I know.
He's like, and he tells them, hey, you forgot to check my stuff.
And that's good. We should hold our buddies accountable for if they're our buddy. Now, I've read a number of the different Divers Alert Network and Scuba Diving and Sport Diver. Oops. I read a lot of those incidents, the dive accidents, and it's really fascinating to see the process. Now, some of it's conjecture because certain parts of it they don't know for sure exactly what was transpiring. They just know here's the end result. They found the diver at depth with weight, with the air was empty and the weight's still in place. I mean, you see things like that. And so they can only they can fill in the blank to a certain degree, but you often see these same kinds of things where they didn't go through their check or they shortcutted their process because they're anxious to do what they want to do, and they break the process. There's a reason why we do the safety check. There's a reason why our equipment should be assembled a certain way, and you shouldn't put things together that are not supposed to be together. And because it makes for a safe dive. All of the training goes towards problem solving. And
it was kind of like yesterday afternoon when I was buddying up with your student.
Yeah.
When you practice certain safety issues or certain scenarios.
Yep.
When we were doing the out of air scenario.
Right.
For me, it's just so used to doing the okay check, and stuff like that. That's why I kind of just wanted to tell him afterwards, why I did that,
right?
So that he starts at least hopefully understanding. Okay, we're not going to move until you understand that we're okay, and when you give me the okay sign, then we go.
Which today went really well. Ran a little bit longer than I was really expecting.
The navigation.
Yeah, believe it or not, the surface navigation was the bigger challenge. That took a long time. Underwater, nailed it the first time. I mean, he was within 5 feet. And I told him, I said, because he was kind of getting frustrated. He was way off almost every time on the surface navigation. I said, just be patient. We'll get through this. But let me tell you this. Most people that have a challenge with the surface nav seem to get the underwater nav with no problem. There's something about trying to do this on the surface that it just throws them off. They're not comfortable in the way they're holding stuff. But underwater, it seems to make sense to them, and they nail it. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened with him. I mean, we were literally 45 minutes working on the nav. Wow. Well, and it didn't help that at one point where we were at, a number of people had shown up on the shore and the dock there, and there was this chocolate lab that decided that we looked like fun to play with. So we kind of had to wait till that got all out under control and we could continue, but it was interesting. So, but as a matter of fact, I might as well go ahead and say now congratulations to Gilberto Rodriguez, who is the latest addition to Certified Open Water Diver. So if you're watching this podcast, either now or on YouTube, by all means, good job. I told you that this afternoon. It was a pleasure facilitating your learning experience, and you did a really awesome job. I'm looking forward to diving in the future with you, especially since you've got a boat.
Yeah, boat, and we're not going to forget.
Oh, man.
We're not going to forget.
Absolutely.
Oh, and he's planning for a trip, which is the reason why he was getting certified. He's going to Cozumel, I believe.
Yeah, he's going to be doing Playa, I forget where it was.
He's going to be going in a couple of weeks. So, you know, my thing is when viaje, have a safe trip when you go. And, you know, hopefully everything goes well for you.
Yep.
Yeah, well, you're ready to go.
So that was a lot of fun. I tell you, that's why I do it. You can't, unless you do it nearly full time, it's difficult to make money at it, to come out ahead. But I knew going in that I was doing this because I just enjoy sharing this kind of activity with more and more people. And so every time I get a chance to, it's great.
And his friend, I hope we see him. We hope we see him back.
Yep.
And just don't give up.
Yep,
hope we see you back.
That's right. No harm, no foul there. So, okay. Enough ranting all that. It was nice that we were able to pull this around. This nice little tie-in. Yeah. So look at your processes, whatever it is you're doing, whether it's scuba diving or fixing your car or taking care of your house or doing your job, whatever it is. Look at your processes, find out where the bottlenecks are, find out what the standards are, and try to improve on those. There's ways you can fix everything. Yes. If you stop relying on the little workarounds, because those can get you into trouble. And figure out what you want before you order it, please. Because if I'm behind you again, ugh. All right. So last week we looked at some video from the trip to Balmorhea, and I said this week I didn't have enough time at that point. But this week we would throw some of the pictures, the snapshots, the stills up.
Yeah,
so I've got those prepped, and just kind of want to go through some of those if we can get it. There we go. That's Gay. Yeah, he was one of my students from last year.
Back in the day.
And so it had been a while since he got in the water, but he had a great time. This camera, for being as old as it is, and being only a VGA type video camera, it actually does pretty decent underwater photographs.
Like you said, a process works. Why change it?
Yeah, exactly. I really, although we have settled on the camera that we're going to get for doing videos and stuff, so we're excited about that. We'll probably do that over the off season, so we're ready to start the new season with the new camera.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. So, he had a great time. He was trying to, he wanted to work on a number of his skills, and buoyancy was the big thing.
Look at that picture.
Yeah, look at all those. I know. Look at all those students. I mean, it was so funny.
It looks like a shot from Aqua Springs when the diving pig. You remember that?
Yes. Oh, sadness.
The mermaids.
Yes. But there were there were 4 groups. I saw 4 trailers, but there were 3 trailers, but 4 classes going on, because they had a rescue diver class, and then the other 3 were all basic courses. So we talked to one of the instructors, and I think Trish, that was asked him, so how many students you have this time around? And he said, too many. Now I'm sure he wasn't violating any of the certifying agency rules. I didn't know if they were PADI or NAUI, but I'm sure they weren't violating those standards. But sometimes you're like, oh, do I really want to wrestle with that many classes in one weekend, kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, that's the trick right there, is working with the students.
Yeah, is
sometimes it can be a little challenging.
Yeah.
So it's if he's got that many students, hopefully he's not alone.
Well, and there were a number of instructors and assistant instructors, as well as dive masters.
That's what I mean.
And,
If you try to tackle this on by yourself, that's a big entree.
And you can add so many more if you have certified assistants to help you, but even that has a limit too. And all of it's taxing.
Right.
Because you're still, even as the senior instructor, where you can let dive masters and assistant instructors execute certain things with the student, you still have to be the observer. The way Patty words it is under direct supervision. So there were a number of students working on different things. It was just kind of I as an instructor, I like to watch other instructors, not so I can critique them necessarily, but I'm always interested to see if there's any techniques that I can pick up.
The processes.
Yeah, exactly. Because some people have thought of some really cool things, ways to do certain things that still conform to the PADI standards, but are just a new approach to presentation that helps the students absorb easier and move things along. And I'm all about improving a process. Here's another example of students working on skills. And this is a perfect picture to illustrate what we're talking about when
students are in the water.
And when the students are in the water, why we like to get up there on a dive weekend. We like to at least try to get in the water on Friday so we can enjoy the visibility, because as you can see here, it doesn't take long for students to start silting it up.
Yep.
You just see this cloud and their feet all disappear in the midst of it. Of course, the little fish like it because they're kicking up potential food for them, but still, it just makes it kind of a...
What was the story with the smell of the water yesterday at the lake?
Oh, we noticed it today, too. Here, okay.
When I said I was stepping on sewage.
Yeah, let me let me jump out of for this. What he's talking about is we were out at Scuba Cove, for the training, and I noticed this today, too. Close to the shore, you'd move... you'd kick up some of the grass or whatever it is that's growing under. It's not hydrilla; it's something else that's growing there, and the unmistakable smell of methane. Methane was bubbling up from the water. It was horrible, I want you to know. It assaulted the senses beyond my ability to describe.
I caught a picture of you spraying your nose with the seagull.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, seagull. It was bad. But here's what I think. Of course, at the top of that cliff, we have... Well, actually, all along there, we have the various public restrooms, which are nothing more than... regular, what do you call that? Where they dig a hole.
It's like a septic tank.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's like that, but it's open.
Yeah.
So because there's no running water, and so they use bacteria treatments, etc., to break it down. Well, I think what's happening is all of that is actually getting into the substrata.
Ooh.
And as a matter of fact, if you go over to the Air Force Marina and go around the corner there, it is horrible. And because there is a huge septic system that it's mowed and everything, it looks so out of place there. And you go to the other side of that, and you just step into the silt, and you just see the bubbles of methane coming up.
I was like. I
think it's because the water level is so low now that it not understanding a lot of the chemical processes there, but I think that the water table being that low is actually allowing the methane to be pulled out at a shallower area.
I'm one of these guys that when I dive, especially at the cove, I'll get my gear ready and everything on the rocks, and then I'll move it towards the shore, and then I'll finish getting when I'm, halfway in the water. This time, did you see when I was like, I got to get away from this stuff? I swam my gear into the middle of the lake, away from the shore.
It was
to put it on because it smelled bad.
It was horrible. Yeah, so that was clear. That was clearly some serious methane that was escaping there. I mean, you could just see it as soon as you kicked up the silt, broke the surface tension of whatever, the bottom strata there. You would just see the little bubbles coming
when
up.
When you were like, hey, there's no grass right here where I'm standing. I'm like, where is it? You're like, well, it's right here. What are you stepping on? I'm stepping on sewage.
Yeah, no kidding. It was horrible.
It smelled bad.
Okay, so let's see if I can get us back to...
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. Let me skip on through the pictures here. Okay. I got to find my little turtle again. This was a pretty good shot. I was diving with Gay at this point, and he actually saw it and was like freaking out. I mean, he wasn't freaking out. He was like getting all, hey, look kind of thing, waving his arms like a crazy person. He was pointing. And then so I looked down, and sure enough, there he is, just kind of nestled in the...
I caught a picture of that, and I posted it on Facebook. Did you see him?
Yeah.
Okay, it's that same turtle, and I took that picture with that little camera.
Oh, that was a good job.
It was running away from us and was already on the concrete part of it.
Yep.
And some kids just had jumped off that little pillar that's there and scared it back towards me. Oh. So it turned around, and that's when I caught the picture.
Sweet.
But it was like right in front of me.
Yeah, that was a good one with the webbed feet wide open. That was a good
it was
shot.
like right in front of my face when I was able to catch that picture.
That was an awesome
But yeah,
shot.
he's quick.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's like 3 or 4 underneath there if you can catch them. There's Gay again. He was kind of... even though I was close up, he was kind of showing off his new and improved buoyancy skills where he wasn't bouncing on the bottom. Let's see. There's my lovely wife, Tara. She's got very good buoyancy skills.
Yes.
Very good skills. I never have to worry about her bouncing along. She just kind of cruises along, coasting along. She does a nice job. Very good dive buddy. Here's another one of the classes, and I think they were on their last dive because I saw them early on, and I think they were just kind of doing self-practice stuff at this point, and they were pretty happy. I could tell they were excited. They were just about to finish up. And here's Gay and Trish. They're getting ready to get married, which is nice.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, I gotta get a good underwater picture. It took me about 3 tries because their breathing was so different. You don't want to hold your breath underwater, but I had to try and catch it where one wasn't just like creating just a sea of bubbles while the other one wasn't. So they finally got close enough in sync I could get a decent picture. And then, of course, we handed the camera off to them. Got a picture of my wife and I. Of course, this was our anniversary, so we definitely wanted to get a picture together. Yay!
Yep.
Tara and her pink stuff. I need to get her some more pink stuff.
It's very colorful there.
Yep. She's got an actual pink tank right now. In this picture, she's wearing her yellow one with the pink guard on it. But she's got a pink tank. She probably wants another pink one. And now that I found that Secure, you advertise that.
Yep.
Secure has a pink mouthpiece.
Mm-hmm.
So she's nodding. My producer is nodding over there. So I have to gradually move her into all pink attire. She'll love that. Secure, good stuff.
Yeah,
good stuff. There's another one of Trish. She was just kind of hanging there. She just really has a good time. She's a very laid back diver. Mm-hmm. And then we had to get a group shot with Troy and Trish, and then Gay on the left there.
Is Troy holding a Pico's coffee in his hand?
Nice.
I think that's a cup of coffee in his hand.
I think he's got it attached to his alternate.
There it is.
It's on his alternate, so he can sip from that while he's underwater.
Pico's. His alternate says made by Pico.
Nice. That's hilarious. He's gonna he'll probably draw something.
He'll tweet something about that to me.
I was doing a little Discover Scuba exercise with Troy and Jennifer's oldest son, Mario Neal, and he took to it really well. I mean, he had no problems at all. He followed the instruction well, had no problem with any of the exercises, the mask clearing, etc. He did really well, had no problems equalizing. He was good. If he wants to get certified before he goes off to the Marines, he'll have no problem. He'll have no problem at all. he was still kind of wrestling with the whole buoyancy thing. But then, who on their first dive ever actually gets that down?
Yeah,
but he wasn't too bad. If he kept moving, he was good. He was good. He kept trying to catch the fish. I don't understand that mystique. And he's cruising along, and I, of course, did one of my little inverted flips right there, and I basically spun around from this picture. I spun around, and I was looking back at him to make sure he was okay.
I saw you yesterday do that with Gilbert, right?
Yeah.
And you were like, all of a sudden, when you spun around, you were so close to hitting that mountain of rocks that was there. Did you see that?
Yeah.
God, I was like, oh.
That's why I've got very good, breath control, and because I can get mere centimeters off of something.
That was like when you were turning around to get back, level. I was like, I was thinking to myself, oh, he's gonna hit the rocks, but
I didn't.
Man, you barely missed.
I'm
that.
good. I'm just that good.
I was like, that's it. First aid right here.
I love this shot. This is a really good shot, and this is Mario O'Neill again. I'll probably want to send that to him. Troy was taking the pictures, and this was just, I think, a really nice shot. We were just coming off the edge of the concrete area into the natural bottom.
See, kind of like you, this is the next thing that I kind of sort of want to get into is underwater photography.
Yep. I tell you, it's just, the more you get it, the more you start to do it, the more you want to learn about how to do it. Mm-hmm. This was the final day. This was Sunday morning. Not everybody else was available to dive, so we were bound and determined to get in there, so we jumped in. So that's, of course, Trish, and then Tara, and then Gay. And it's just so funny how these fish are so used to us that you just do the little snap your fingers or rub your hands together, and they come from everywhere. And, of course, it's the effect is stronger first thing in the morning because
they're hungry.
Yeah, they're hungry. Then they know new divers means stuff gets kicked up. So this is so funny. I mean, you literally can't see for all the fish in your face. And there's a shot of Tara. Got somebody texting me, probably political stuff instead of the show. Weird.
Political stuff.
Yeah, I'm very politically active on Twitter and Facebook. Another shot of Tara. Now she's wearing her pink tank. That's pink.
Mm-hmm.
Very pink. But I just love the combination. I mean, it's just this creates a lot of depth in this picture. I just love this shot. And I thought this one really came out well because Trish was just, she had her legs basically kicked together, and she was getting all the fish drawn to her. I thought this was just an awesome shot. I love the bubbles. And, of course, had to have a flip around shot of me. It's funny how the mask makes my face look really skinny right there.
My mask always looks like it's pulling my eyes, like if I'm like
you're Oriental.
Yeah, I'm Oriental or something.
I think I'm Tony Japanese. I really think.
Nice. Another shot of Tara with her pink tank. I need to get her some pink fins because those, although she likes her fins, those just clash so badly. Is that yours going off so much? It's vibrating my whole...
Yeah, text.
The whole desk here. And then, this is so cool. Here is the shot as she's just starting to snap her fingers. And then within seconds,
bam,
she's covered in fish. It's a great shot. I love that.
I saw that in the movie ones, except there were piranhas.
Oh, I thought maybe there were zombies.
No, there were piranhas.
And this was some of the students this time that were out there. I guess they just had nothing better to do, and so they built their own little temple. Or whatever.
Yeah, you were talking about that.
And so I hear fish crossing in front of my view. So I'm coming up closer to it, and then I stopped because I saw this catfish kept cruising back and forth. I'm like, I want to get one of it just crossing in front of the little temple, and sure enough, I got the shot. Just had to be patient.
No, the catfish, we saw yesterday.
Oh, man, that was nice. Sitting on top of the boat. Saw another one a little bit smaller than it off to the south point of the cove there.
That thing was huge.
Yeah, it was pretty good size. That was a good shot of the girls sitting on top of the little temple. Of course, tons of fish around. Because they thought, there's twice as much opportunity for food here. Now here, and I got them to each do a shot where I pointed the camera through the opening in the temple. I just love these kind of shots. If this were like a coral reef, I'd be going for one of those. So there's Trish. And then, of course, my lovely wife, Tara. Just love those shots. This fish almost got in my way. It's like, no, not now. And there's another shot of Gay and Trish. You see, Trish is very streamlined.
Mm-hmm.
She pulls her stuff in. She does a good job. And you see Gay, who is newer. he's kind of spread all over the place, but that's okay. He's learning. He's improving his skills.
Practice makes perfect.
That's right. He did a lot of improving over this weekend. And here's a little bit closer shot. So they're holding hands. I thought that was really cool.
Ooh.
I don't even know. I don't think they realized I was taking pictures at this point. But I was like, I've got to get this shot. This will be cute.
It's got to go in the wedding album. Got to go in the wedding album.
Yeah. I doubt that Trish does the scrapbooking thing. Unlike my wife, who is quite the artist with it. But this would be a good, you could frame it right, trim it, crop it just right, and this would make a good
You got
shot.
a lot of pictures of me from diving when we've dove and stuff.
Yep.
I have to get Trish to do a scrapbook for me.
Yeah.
I think that would be pretty cool.
And then I just wanted to get. I just love the way the bubbles look, and when the water's clear, it just really looks cool.
Yesterday when we were doing the fun dive with the student, I was actually on top of him because of the bubbles.
Oh yeah, isn't that cool? I love that.
Because of the bubbles. Yeah,
I love that effect.
Yeah.
I intentionally swim over the divers just so I can swim through their bubble stream. It's pretty cool. And with newer divers, with students, even better because they're breathing constantly.
They're breathing heavy.
There's a lot of bubbles out there. What? Me relax? So I get a lot of treat out of that. And I think this might be the last shot. So this one of Tara just cruising along. She's just so relaxed when she dives. That was the last one. So... we had a great time, and as you can tell, it's just a lot of opportunity to relax. If you've never been to Balmorhea State Park, it is so worth the drive. It's such a peaceful time. It's not as fun when they have a lot of storms there, kind of what they had this past last weekend, but it's still really decent.
It's nice to get away.
Yep.
You kind of got to rough it because, again, we've said it in the past. You're limited to what places to eat.
Yep.
But
we brought plenty of stuff this time, so food was not an issue at all. And Trish and Gay have that one of those trailers, the fifth wheel that has the top that extends and everything. And so they had ability to cook different stuff. And they had one of those Dutch ovens set up. But it was all used coals.
Right.
Used charcoal to do it, but it was pretty cool. So, food was not lacking on this trip. Let's see. It's time for commercial.
Commercial.
So last week I was actually supposed to be doing it and didn't have enough time to put together. So I'm going to be doing it this week, and so I'd like to talk about Divers Alert Network. I've talked about them before. I just wanted to get a little bit more detailed with them. One of the things I like about Divers Alert Network is their insurance. They've got a number of things that are valuable as far as research, anything you want to know about diving statistics, they've got it. You can participate in studies, that kind of thing. But the resources that they have for various types of insurance are pretty impressive. And so I've pulled together some things here. Let's see. They've got equipment insurance. So if you want to just insure your equipment as far as trips that you go on or places that you might be traveling with your gear, either just not as part of a vacation or whatever, but just general movement, you can insure it through Divers Alert Network. And you basically go in, as you can see from the screenshot from their website, you can just simply click on the insure your equipment today, and then you can start listing your equipment and work out whatever kind of replacement or insuring mechanism that fits your budget and your gear.
Mm-hmm. Very good, very handy.
And they also have group term life insurance. You can insure for up to $200,000 for life insurance, which would be, I don't think it'd be enough as part of a primary insurance, but to supplement for your diving, because obviously the riders, etc., for this kind of insurance would be specifically tuned, if you will,
for diving,
for people who dive in the kind of situations, because some life insurance, term and whole life, may not include accidents that you might have as part of scuba diving. I've got dogs wanting to jump in here. And then this is what Tara and I have. We have the preferred dive accident insurance. And so you see you have 3 different levels. You have the standard, the master, and the preferred. And you see the different coverages they have. So if you get the standard, which is $30 a year, this is an annual cost, you get your basic medical dive accident coverage. So basically they can set you up where you have access to being moved to barometric, to a recompression chamber, etc., and get treated if you do have some sort of a dive accident. If you jump up to the master for $40 a year, you see your coverage for the medical dive accident coverage is dramatically increased. And then you have also coverage for death and dismemberment during diving, permanent or total disability, and then all the way down to the lost diving equipment. So if something happens and you have to ditch your gear as a part of the rescue, up to $2,500 worth of equipment loss can be recovered, which is pretty
new
cool.
Equipment.
And that's, yeah, exactly. So, and that's for the master level. And then if you go with the preferred, which is what we have, you see you got all of this covered, and not just, doesn't stop just at the diving equipment. You get medical non-live accident coverage or non-dive accident coverage. So if you're on a vacation and you get hurt in a situation not related to diving, then you still are covered. Mm-hmm. And then you've also got I love these two, diving vacation cancellation or diving vacation interruption. So if you have an accident or similar situation that causes you to cancel a vacation, then you get up to $10,000 coverage to recover the costs of the vacation. Or if your vacation is interrupted due to some sort of a dive accident, you get up to $5,000 worth of coverage for the interruption. That's pretty impressive. Mm-hmm. And you hope you never have to use it. But for $75 a year, I think it's a worthwhile.
When I completed my rescue diver training, I went ahead and got the DAN insurance.
Yeah.
I started with the basic $30 $1, but this last time when I renewed it, I went up to the master. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, still worthwhile. I mean, if you don't do a lot of trips, then the last 3 that the preferred gets you is probably not as much valuable for you.
And you know, I was even thinking when we did the dive on the spring and I got cut and I had to go get the tennis shot.
Yeah,
I think I could actually have claimed it.
Yeah, you might have.
I could have claimed it.
So it would have helped. But so, you know, that's what you have available as far as dive accident insurance. I think we have one more thing. You have actual travel insurance. So you can actually kind of work your travel set up through them, and they will help you make sure you have coverage to cover the actual travel, which is pretty good. So they've pretty much hit anything that you can think of as far as what kind of insurance that would benefit you as a diver in the typical ways that divers travel, dive, vacation, that kind of thing. So I recommend Divers Alert Network. I think they're a worthwhile organization for a relatively small annual fee, and then you have specifics, of course, for the different, the life insurance, etc. I think it's well worth it to invest in that, and plus it gives you access to a lot of the research, etc., and even participation in some of it, which is pretty cool.
Right.
So
I agree 150%.
Yep. 150%.
One other thing that also, as being a Dan member, it also gives you access to the Divers Alert magazine that you get. It has a lot of valuable information. That from dive accidents or things to be on the lookout for. It'll actually cover new equipment,
Right.
Different things as a for just informational.
Right.
You also get email updates regarding situations and things, alerts that might be coming up. Very,
Right.
very handy
Yeah.
to be a part of it, and it's for such a small fee. You don't have to be a rescue diver. If you're just a
Nope.
basic diver, please, it's well worth it.
But there are courses available for like O2, administering O2, oxygen.
Yes.
Various rescue type first aid
Right.
skills that you can pick up, and a lot of times they'll present at places. They'll go to locations, and then you can just it's kind of like a tour almost. You can go to San Antonio or some of these other places where they schedule these events, and you can get this training especially through them, which is great.
Recommended. Definitely, if you're going to advance your certification. It's a must have.
It really
is.
Please,
it's
it really
very
is.
good commercial.
Okay, so that pretty much takes us to the end of another podcast. Oh wait a minute, we didn't do the tips, training, and tech, and I don't even know if I updated that or not. Nope. It's still the current stuff. We've got Del Rio Dive Club on 20 September, Rudy's Restaurant. Encourage you to stop by. Just say hi, introduce yourself. As a diver or non-diver, doesn't matter. We might be able to convince you to become a diver.
Yes.
But it's just a good time to eat some great food and just relax, enjoy conversation, pick people's brain, experience, etc. And, of course, Trash Fest 2012 is 6 October in New Braunfels, Texas. People come from all over the world to participate in this, and you can sign up via their website. Just do a search for Trash Fest 2012, New Braunfels, and you can get all the information there. And, of course, DEMA, the Dive Equipment Manufacturers Association, the show for 2012 is in Las Vegas this year, 14 through 17 November. You must be a dive professional or a owner of a dive shop.
Or a delegate.
Or, let's hope, to attend those, but well worth it. Come back with some trinkets, some training, some tryouts of new gear. Worthwhile if you are so reclined. So, all right, let's see. What's going on next? What is next weekend? What is next weekend?
I'm thinking.
Is it not a holiday?
Is it? It is.
Isn't it Labor Day weekend?
That's right. It's Labor Day weekend.
So, okay, I have to ask. I don't think I have anything go. I want to make sure that we're going to do the podcast on the regular time.
I feel a night dive coming, guys.
Yeah, really. No kidding. A 3D weekend, we've got to pull a night dive off somehow, some way. I haven't done one this year. Although diving deep during the day is like doing a night dive.
We actually did a night dive at the Abyss.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, even a day dive is a night dive there. So let's see. I don't have anything going Saturday. Saturday, a number of birthdays, but and our podcast. So yeah, I don't have any events going on. Otherwise, they're taxing me. And since we don't have any blood relatives that we do, family type stuff. We probably won't be doing anything special other than just enjoying the day. So it looks like, barring any unforeseen circumstances, we shall have our podcast once again on our regular day and time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. You can always catch us on YouTube. Just do a search for Two Guys Who Dive, and you'll find all of our episodes there, also on Vimeo. You can also visit our website at www.delriodiveclub.com, as well as catch us on Facebook, and that's actually probably the better place to catch us because we're always cruising that. So check out Facebook/Del Rio Dive Club and drop us a line, send us an email, send us an instant message.
Just send us something.
Just send us something. And, of course, you can follow us on Twitter. Here's Scuba Bob's information. Follow him at RS Garza 435, or send him an email at rsgarza821 at yahoo.com. Yeah. And, of course, let me switch back to my regular lower third. You can follow me on Twitter, RobertCFP, or send me an email at robert.wade@SetiFox. It's not CD Fox, as I normally run into that when I'm doing my online gaming with people. Hey, Fox. CD Fox. No, SetiFox.net. And we'd love to hear from you. So that pretty much concludes this episode, and we will see you next week on another exciting and illustrious episode of Two Guys Who Dive. See ya.